What is good, Niner fans? It is Victory Monday, just like the shirt says. 2 straight weeks. We wearing the shirt, repping Victory Monday. You feeling good? I'm feeling good. Big time dub against the division rival, LA Rams. It wasn't pretty, but the Niners get it done. And you know what? Sometimes you need those types of victories. You need those gritty, grind it out, backs against the wall type wins. And you know what? That builds character, builds adversity, and there's a lot to talk about. The vibes. We are here to talk about the big dub from yesterday, but also I'm going to start talking about the Giants because that's coming up real quick, right around the corner, Thursday night. And as we know, Saquon Barkley is not going to be playing, unfortunately, for the Giants. But you know who is, going to be playing is Matt Breida. So you never know. Next man up, and we'll see how the chips fall. You can't count anybody out. It's a short week. And after a game like last night for the 49ers, where they had to really, sink down and grasp everything they could out of their body to win that game, it's not going to be an easy game Thursday. Short turnaround, and, injuries are something that happen on Thursday night. I hope there's, a game that the 49ers can get through and just stay injury-free, because those Thursday night games are scary, man. These players, they go through a car wreck, like George Kittle says, right, every week. And then to go have a car wreck, barely get time to decompress, and then go into another car wreck situation on Thursday is tough. But then after that, we get a few extra days to lick our wounds and get ready for the Arizona Cardinals. So I'm excited for Thursday. But, I'm still hyped up over that dub last night. A lot of good stuff that came out of it. There was a lot of underrated players that made big-time plays, and we got to talk about them. We talked about some of these players earlier. Jake Moody, a guy that's really getting a lot of respect now. And a couple weeks ago, everybody was writing Jake Moody off and says, you know what, this guy is going to be a bust. And you know what, shout out to Jake Moody for keeping tough and staying strong and mentally being able to do what he has to do. So you like the captain pin, faithful? We got the captain pin Victory Monday. Let's talk about some of these captains. I am excited about Deebo Samuel as a captain. And this guy, actually, I wanted to talk about Deebo specifically because he owns the Rams. Last night, Deebo came in and he dominated. It was a special performance for him again. He crushes the Rams historically, right? I think 8 total touchdowns for Deebo Samuel in his career against the Rams. Like, it's crazy. 7 or 8. I think he has 4 receiving, 3 rushing, and then a passing touchdown. So it's 7. 8, 3, 4, and 1. That's 8 touchdowns. This guy, when the ball gets in his hand and LA's there, you just see a different demeanor. And, you've seen a different demeanor in Deebo Samuel this season. I feel like he's really stepped it up a notch, and being a captain, it really suits him well. Last night, they asked him, it was kind of a dumb question. They asked him, well, why aren't you guys celebrating as a group after touchdowns? And he was like, we're not worried about celebrations. We're about winning the games, getting touchdowns. Whoever gets the touchdown, that's it. You move forward. I know a couple years back in the Super Bowl, they prematurely celebrated and everybody bags on them. But for the reporter to sit there and waste their time and ask him, oh, what did you not celebrate? And Deebo kept it 100. He says, look, man, we're focused. We want to win games, and celebrating is not going to win games. I love that answer out of him. Super captain. 2019 vibes. Absolutely. You know what? I got this stupid ringing I have to take care of. This apartment's taking a mind of its own. I'm moving, and I'll be right back. Be back. Sorry about that. It's always something. Anyways, let's get back to what we were talking about. Beast Mode says, this season is giving me 2019 vibes. Yeah, it's that fire alarm again. I'm about done with this place. Anyways, this season is giving me 2019 vibes. The team is starting off on a steady pace right now. They're 2-0. The last time they were 2-0 was 2019. They got off to a blistering hot start, right? A blistering hot start to the season in 2019. They ended up in the Super Bowl. We've talked about it all off season that the 49ers need to get to a hot start this year. and, be able to win that NFC number 1 seed. Right now, they look like probably the best team in the NFC. I know the Cowboys look pretty good. The Eagles have kind of been up and down a little bit, but we'll see what happens as the season goes on. Later in the season, teams get a little bit better, and injuries happen. You never know what's going to happen through a season. So right now, the Niners definitely strong. That defense is only going to get better. And speaking of the defense, there's a lot of criticism for them yesterday. Early in that first half, they were getting beat. Soft coverage, secondary wasn't able to press, and they were getting beat. Puka Nacua and Tutu Atwell played very well, and you got to give them their respect. Sean McVay knows the 49ers. They were able to chip, and hold Bosa and not let the Niners get any pressure. But you got to give Steve Wilks his flowers. He really made the adjustments, and I think that was the key. When Fred Warner came in and started kind of imposing his will in that second half, that's when it changed. Fred Warner was getting the pressures. He was coming in, sacking everybody. And as much as criticism Nick Bosa is getting right now, he has been having a big impact on this game. You got to realize Nick Bosa has been a stud in terms of getting pressures. He's been getting double teamed. He doesn't even have his legs under him yet. Give him a few weeks. This is his training camp. When you really think about it, he didn't have preseason. He didn't have training camp and all that good stuff. So now Nick Bosa is just trying to get his sea legs under him. Once he kind of gets his condition down, he's going to be beasting it up. And once he gets that sack that he really, gets it out of the way, I think everybody's going to be fine and the floodgates will open and people aren't going to worry about Nick. But, there's a lot of pressure. Everybody's hating on Nick. I want people to keep the same energy on Nick when he starts tearing it up. I'm not worried about him right now. Again, he even said, he just needed a few games to kind of get his conditioning ready and kind of get his footing down. So you got to look at Fred Warner, though. He's really been pacing this defense, and he's only going to get better. I got to tell you, man, Fred Warner, I feel like he might have this magical season. I feel like he might become like a defensive player of the year candidate. I know it's tough for a linebacker. We haven't had a linebacker win a defensive player of the year award in years. I feel like this might be like a Ray Lewis type season for Fred Warner. Just keep an eye on this guy. He's, imposing the game. He's always around the ball. His vision, he's changing, pass outcomes. He's almost getting interceptions. He's causing interceptions. He's getting sacks. He's getting tackles for loss. Fred Warner is a monster. And even though Nick Bosa hasn't had the stats that everybody wants, he's getting pressures. And once he starts developing those pressures into sacks, it's about to be scary. Shout out to Javon Hargrave. This guy's been constantly putting pressure on the quarterback, and this guy's only going to get better. And you know what? Javon Kinlaw, man, this guy's been having consistent pressures in the last 2 games. So this is a guy, he's healthy. He's generating pressures. This defensive line is only going to get better as time goes by. Again, Steve Wilks, he really made the adjustments. A lot of people were criticizing them earlier in that game yesterday, but you have to really understand it's a 4-quarter game. First half, team might come out different than you expect. And the other team, it's a chess match. They got film on you. They know each other's tendencies, especially since it's a rivalry game. So I feel like the 49ers overall did a good job, right? I think they did a good job. You were waiting, Miguel? I'm sorry. I kept everybody waiting today. Tried to go live earlier, but there were some technical difficulties. It's been a long day. But yeah, so honestly, last night's game I think was a good win for the team. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't perfect for Brock Purdy, and there's been a lot of criticism on Purdy because the deep passes and this and that and the other. But I'm actually happy that Brock's taking those deep shots because eventually he's going to hit those deep shots. Once he starts converting those, this team's going to be unstoppable, right? Christian McCaffrey's already unstoppable. Back-to-back weeks, he's been nominated for the FedEx Ground Player of the Week. That's amazing. Deebo Samuel, you got Brandon Ayuk and George Kittle, and once they all kind of hit their stride together, it's going to be dangerous. But Brock Purdy hitting those deep passes, eventually it'll come. And when he hits those, man, we're going to open the floodgates. They might be dropping 40 points on teams. So honestly, I'm not too worried about Brock missing those passes. I'm actually excited. That he's taking those shots. For years, we never had a quarterback that would take shots. We didn't have a quarterback that Kyle Shanahan felt comfortable. Kyle Shanahan never felt comfortable with the quarterback taking those deep shots. And he was peppering them. Once he gets a little bit, more consistent on those, you got to remember, he's coming off a major injury. We'll give him some time. Brock's still young. He's still learning. He's still developing. He's a rookie last year, and he had the injury. I think that was only his he hasn't even started 13 games in the NFL, right? So give him some time. He'll continue to develop. And I think Brock Purdy is going to just crush. He's going to crush everybody's expectations, and I can't wait for it. I'm just happy that they're taking those deep shots. You know. Flood says, hate to admit it, Sophie blows out Levi's. He says Levi's South was crazy. It was a home game yesterday. We all knew the Niner fans were going to pack that stadium, but seeing all the videos, seeing all the content, seeing everybody out there just screaming their heads off was absolutely amazing. It was cinema. It was amazing seeing all that yesterday. I wish I was there. The vibes were incredible. A sea of red. It truly was a sea of red. I mean, there was barely any blue jerseys in there. It was a takeover. It was Levi South. It is basically the 49ers home away from home. And it was just unreal to see that. To see all those jerseys, red everywhere. The fans leaving the stadium all red. I was like, wow, that is crazy. 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 But Flood does say SoFi blows Levi's out. I mean, it's a more modern stadium. It's more state of the art. It is a pretty stadium. But I will say, I mean, the cheap lighting, the acoustics, I don't really like some of the stuff. It's over the top. It's LA for you. Sometimes it's a little tacky, but the stadium is state of the art. You can't not deny it. Levi's Stadium is not the greatest stadium in the world. I wish they never really got rid of Candlestick. We all do, but Levi's isn't horrible. But for being a stadium that's only 10 years old, it kind of feels outdated already. That's my take on it. But it is nice going to those home games at Levi's. Not gonna lie, it's fun to go to a home game. So Christine says Brock will get it. Absolutely. Sati says, am I crazy to think that this is an offense first team now? I think our defense is still top 2, but this, with all these weapons, is scary. They put 30 effortlessly. I think we might be seeing a changing of the guard. This team is, technically known as a defensive team with Kyle Shanahan at the helm. They've always had steady defenses, offensive lines, and, all the pressures. They've had this great defensive teams over the years, Fred Warner and everybody like that. But the 49ers offense has never been this good. They're scoring 30 points with ease. Almost every game they score at least 30 points. There's been a few times they didn't score 30, but they're only going to get better. When Brock hits those deep passes, they're going to get better. Christian McCaffrey is a madman. Christian McCaffrey is just, it's so crazy. The fact that he's playing the snaps that he is, and Kyle did say he needs to let him play a little bit less. You got to get Elijah Mitchell involved in the game more. I think a lot of fans agree with that. But the fact that Christian McCaffrey is playing at this high level, it's scary. We never had a player like this on the team. We've never had a running back like this on the 49ers, a running back of this caliber. And we all know the 49ers are a run-first team, a running team. And when you have the best running back in the NFL on your team and you primarily run the ball, oh my God, ladies and gentlemen, it's scary. It's scary. It is so scary, man. Christian McCaffrey is him, and this offense doesn't miss a beat. And the other thing is, you got to give Brock you got to give him credit. I know, again, people criticize him for the deep passes and stuff. 2-minute drill, phenomenal. He hasn't made any mistakes, really. No interceptions. He's been phenomenal in terms of keeping the ball moving. He's very poised, and we all know that. And he just moves the ball down the field. He's a point guard. He's distributing the ball to all his weapons. It's nice, man. It's nice to see it. And again, once he gets it down, everything comes together for him and the game slows down, it's going to be dangerous. Christine is absolutely right. Brock will get it. And when he does, he's going to be dangerous. He's going to be dangerous, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, this offense is already dropping, like you said, 30 points a game. It's insane. So I think this offense is really kind of carrying right now. And it's nice to see. I love defense. I love to see when the defense carries a team. But it's nice. It's refreshing to see a team have a good offense. And they can score points. And shout out to Kyle Shanahan, man. He had the stones last night. He went for it on 4th down. Brock Purdy, QB sneak, 1 second left, touchdown. And before that touchdown at the end of the first half, beautiful pass to Debo, deep pass. Takes a shot at the end zone. It was incomplete, but he got a PI. It was a defensive pass interference. That was nice to see. Because Brock took the shot, they got a penalty and it put him on the 1-yard line. Stones, man, that was a huge play right there. And that's why it's nice to see Brock taking those deep shots. Even if he's not hitting them, he's taking them. And eventually we're going to start getting those penalties. You're going to get flagged, and the 49ers are going to benefit from it. So love the play calling. I love Kyle Shanahan. And, again, the second half adjustments, it's phenomenal to see. Debbie says Kyle loves BCB. He loves Brock. He absolutely loves Brock. This is a guy that he trusts. And it's fun to see Kyle smiling and happy and trusting the quarterback. If you guys saw that locker room breakdown yesterday, when he, after the game, he little breaks down, he said, "I love you guys." He said, "I love you all." He's never said that. I was like, man, Kyle Shanahan is really, he's different this year. He's changed it up. And I think Kyle Posey of Niners Nation, I saw a tweet today. He says he asked him, how did he work on becoming a better coach this offseason? This is a straight question that Kyle Posey asked him. This was a good question. He said, what have you done this offseason to become a better coach overall? And he says, I've read a lot of self-help books. He says, I've read a lot of self-help books, man. That's pretty cool because, Kyle has had the ego and he's always been criticized of being this like tough guy. He's brash and he just, he's a mean guy and he always had the doghouse and stuff. But he did say he read some self-help books and you can see it, man. He really loves this team and I'm sure he has. He's grown strong connections with these guys. They've been there for years. 2017, him and Kittle, man. Him and Kyle Juszczyk, a lot of these guys have been on this team with him. Armstead, Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw. A lot of these guys have been there for years. And Kyle Shanahan absolutely loves these guys. It's amazing, man. It's good stuff, man. It's good stuff. So, and they're not perfect. They've made some mistakes here and there, but you learn from them, man. You learn from your mistakes. You get better. So it is what it is. Has he been perfect? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Miguel says it wasn't pretty, but we got it done. We got it done. George says, what can we do to make our secondary better? Yeah, the secondary's thin. A lot of those guys are young. We got to take a shout out to Isaiah Oliver. Shout out to Diamond Lenore because they didn't play too good in the first half. They made adjustments. They made two of the biggest plays last night. Diamond Lenore, my guy, and Isaiah Oliver. I'm not going to lie to you. I had a lot of people text me last night. They said, you eating crow tonight, Raj? I said, absolutely, crow souffle, because I've been very critical of Isaiah Oliver. I thought he should get cut. I'm not going to lie to you, but made some of the biggest plays, breakout game for him. And I wasn't, a guy that saw that coming last night. He made those adjustments, big time plays. He made a big play on third down. So yeah, Isaiah Oliver played well. I feel like a lot of this has to be tied to their defensive pressure. When the 49ers get defensive pressure, it makes everything easy on their secondary. They got a lot of younger guys. They play a lot of soft coverage, so I feel like they have to get pressure up front to make the secondary. But also, their depth is not the strongest. They have, Ambry Thomas. He's been up and down through his career. I like Lenore. Isaiah Oliver, again, he stepped up, made a name for himself last night, but he has to keep it up. But some of the other guys, they're young guys that haven't had an opportunity. Trey Swelling, that's the guy they called up this weekend when Sam Womack got hurt, but Swelling didn't do much. It's unfortunate for Womack to be hurt. We need a guy like that. And then today, as we talked about, Quantrez Knight was snagged off the practice squad by the Cardinals, man. They poached him away. They put Budda Baker on the injured reserve, and they snagged up Quantrez Knight. I feel like the 49ers have to get some more players. They did have a visit with some secondary over the last couple of days. Most notably today, they met with former first-round pick veteran cornerback Bradley Roby. According to Field Yates, that was a big move. I think that's a good indication that they're trying to get some depth. They're trying to make some players added onto this roster for depth because, secondary is going to be a position where they're always going to need depth. They're always going to need players. And this season's tough. It's a grind out season. They need to get all the depth they can at cornerback. And I like Roby. I think he was a good player in this league. He's 31, so he is a little older. He's a veteran, but just because he's old doesn't mean he can't hang. Look at Tashawn Gibson. He's 31, and he's a dog out there. So I do hope they sign Bradley Roby. I agree with Sati that Bradley Roby would be a nice addition. He's a solid veteran, and he knows the position. I get it. Ain't no way. Boogie says, ain't no way a rookie lit up this elite defense. Hey, sometimes players have their days, man. You got to respect Puka Nacua, man. Hell of a start to his career. 2 games, he leads the NFL in catches of all time in his first 2 games. Like, he set a record. Most catches in his first 2 games ever. Respect to that guy. He's basically taken over Cooper Kupp's spot. Those were all Cooper Kupp's receptions. We all know Cooper Kupp's dealing with the hamstring. That's all Cooper Kupp's usage. We'll see how much he does when Kupp comes back. But this guy's a baller, man. You got to, nothing but respect. Tip the hat. It is what it is. But yeah, the secondary definitely has to get better. moving forward. And I think signing Bradley Roby would be a nice addition to the team. Yeah, Boogie says sometimes that soft coverage makes me mad. Man, me too. Like I was sitting there screaming every time. But there's a gift and a curse. Like they let everything ahead of them. They were giving up short plays, bend but don't break. They weren't giving up deep passes. So it is, in a way, they weren't giving up like deep shots. They're going to let people take underneath. And eventually that team will get tired. And eventually you're going to make a mistake. And that's exactly what happened yesterday. 49ers didn't let up. They made the adjustments, and they knew the Rams were going to keep on peppering them underneath. They weren't taking a deep shot because you got Moody Ward. Mooney Ward is great. Talanoa Hufanga is great. Tashaun Gibson. If you go deep, one of those guys is going to make a play on the ball. So the Niners are going to let you have that underneath all day. It's frustrating when you see a guy, cook you up named Pukanuka, but it is what it is. And the 49ers eventually, they stayed patient, and they made the big plays when it mattered most. And that's the advantage of the 49ers. Very disciplined. They were very disciplined last night, and it came up and won them the game. Sati said, give credit to the Rams. They know how to find these elite slot wide receivers. Absolutely, man. He is definitely a carbon copy of Cooper Kupp. I got no hate on the kid. Yeah, we got picked on and gave up an average of 8 to 9 yards. They were lighting us up, man. Again, they were letting up all those underneath passes. The Rams were moving the ball, but eventually the Niners made the adjustments and they were able to, stop them when it mattered. So it was frustrating. The Rams were going to get their points, but the 49ers offense exploded and they kept us in the hunt throughout the whole game. And you got to give respect again to Jake Moody, the 57-yard field goal. Holy smokes, man. I can't talk about Jake Moody enough. That was a great game for him. Got to give him his flowers, man. I don't think we've talked about him enough. Money Moody, man. This guy took a beating this offseason. A lot of people were hating on him. People were sitting here, call Robbie Gould. He called me a couple days. Remember, he called me and I said, stay on standby and look at Jake Moody now. Inspirational game for him. 57. It could have been a 60-yarder for all, for looking at that kick. I was like, God, he could have hit a 60-yarder. Nice. It was nice, man. Ward gave up a few plays. I feel like you're right. We are going to give up a few plays. It comes down to the pressure, in my opinion. I mean, again, the 49ers have a specific defense, and if they're not getting pressure on you, they're not going to stop it. And you don't want to pull Fred Warner away from, his position and his, spot in the defense. I feel like as time goes, this teams will gel a little bit more. You got to remember, a lot of these corners are young, and Mooney, he doesn't get targeted a lot. Every few times he does get targeted, he usually does a good job of, breaking up the play or not allowing a pass. But, every once in a while, the team's going to have some success. And cornerback's a tough position. You're just never going to have, like, a perfect game. Quarterback's one of the hardest positions to play. And I feel like the 49ers overall did a good job. But, again, Sean McVay knows the 49ers. He knows their tendencies. And some teams are going to just have those moments where they're going to be able to pepper you. But I feel like the 49ers will continue to make adjustments as they did last night. And they'll get, tighter in coverage. Maybe, once Nick Bosa gets his legs under him, I think this defense will be cooking teams up even more. And again, it's not that Nick Bosa isn't having an impact. He was the highest graded player on PFF. He had 5 pressures. He was getting there. I think he had 3 quarterback hits. He was getting to the quarterback. Just, he just looked a little tired every few plays. And that's just not having a training camp. And he's in great shape, which I don't think we ever questioned. But, a lot of people says he needs to have that conditioning, get in football shape, and they were right. But overall, I think the 49ers defense is still only going to get better. It definitely isn't that crazy defense that we all expected out the gates, but I think soon they will. Now, you got to remember, you have a new defensive coordinator. They're still figuring things out, and he's still trying to figure out his ultimate way to use these players. He still hasn't really used Nick Bosa. Steve Wilkes hasn't really had Nick Bosa on this team much. So I feel like this defense will only get better. Oh, man. Boogie says those overthrows gave him Jimmy G Super Bowl flashbacks. Not me, man. I know Brock's going to hit those eventually. I try to block out the Jimmy Garoppolo overthrow to Sanders. Oh, God. I definitely have over my life. Sati says it goes to show when you don't get pressure, the secondary is suspect, mainly CB2. It's definitely a big part of this defensive, strategy and in NFL in general. If you get pressure, it's going to help you take pressure off the backside. So 49ers have to get a little bit more. But again, I feel like in the second half, they did a better job of that. And, I think that'll improve as things go on. Our O-line did a good number on Aaron Donald. Man, they triple teamed Aaron Donald. I mean, there was a video I think the NFL posted, and it showed there was 3 guys just standing there on Aaron Donald. So shout out to the Niners. They did a good job of neutralizing him. And there's nobody else really on the Rams defensive line that can have an impact like Aaron Donald. So you neutralize him and you have time to pass. And Brock Purdy had a lot of time to make those plays. So definitely was nice to see the offensive line stay sharp and give Moody give Brock Purdy a lot of time in the pocket. Colton McKivitz, he didn't allow a sack. He was pretty good last night. Who else was just phenomenal? It was Aaron Banks. We all know Trent Williams is a dog. He was the guy. But Aaron Banks, man, he was just stonewalling. He might be a Pro Bowler this season. That guy was crushing. He had a clean sheet. I don't think he's allowed a pressure or a sack at all this season. This guy has been phenomenal for the 49ers. They found a dog with Aaron Banks, And a couple years back, you remember the story? I ate crow, and I'm still eating crow. Shout out to Aaron Banks. I'm glad they drafted him because that left side is absolute stone wall, man. This guy is a stud. And Christian McCaffrey yesterday gave him a lot of praise. He says Aaron Banks is just becoming a better player, and they're doing a lot of good stuff because of him. It's not just Trent Williams. Aaron Banks has been blocking like a madman. So, and yeah, you got to give McKivitz some credit, man. He held it down. He did his job, and they made Aaron Donald a non-factor. Burford and McKivitz on that right side, they combined together to really stuff Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald was a non-factor. So you got to give credit to Colton Malkovich. You got to give credit to Spencer Burford. They both played pretty solid. I mean, Burford probably had the worst performance on the O-line, but it wasn't horrible, compared to a lot of other teams out there. But it just shows you this team is really working. It's a solid unit. And if they stay healthy, this offensive line is, a very strong unit. So Blood Moon says, I like how Kyle is looking at every game as if our season depended on it. He looks so locked in and aggressive. Kyle, man, he's on a different level this year. He really is. Like I said, I feel like it's just he's just got so much trust in these guys, and especially Brock Purdy. I feel like because he has all the respect for Brock and he trusts him, it's a different mindset. You could just see how happy he is. He's smiling on this sideline. He loves this team, man. They've been battling for years, and I feel like Kyle Shanahan has definitely evolved as a coach, man. We're seeing the evolution of Kyle Shanahan right before our eyes. It's amazing. So aggressive Kyle. I love it. Eventually that's going to help us, because there's been many times where people said, Kyle needs to be more aggressive, put the foot on the gas, and he's doing it, a different mindset. And it helps when you have a quarterback that you trust. That's really what it comes down to. I love it. Sati says, Brock attempted 4 deep ball yesterday, missed 3 due to him putting too much zip on the ball. The one to deep pass to JJ, he put touch on it with less zip. Something Kyle and Brock need to know. Absolutely. Again, I think they'll fix it. I think Brock will get better, and they're going to look at the film. And I'm telling you, there's going to be a game where Brock hits a deep pass, and we're all going to be there saying, oh, wow, look at that. Look at the improvement. Look at the evolution of Brock Purdy. I already know there's going to be a game where they call that same play to Ayuk or the same play to Debo, and they're going to hit it. It's going to be a touchdown, and we're all going to be, going crazy. And I already can see the tweets. Oh, look at Brock hitting the deep pass. This time he didn't miss. I already see it. I see it from a mile away, and I can't wait for it. It's going to be amazing. So, again, I'm just happy that Brock's taking those shots because Kyle trusts him and he wants to be aggressive. It's a whole new vibe. This team's amazing. And then the role players, step up. And that's the thing. Every year we get some role players that step up and become, those underrated just players that you just have to have. And I think last night, again, we saw it again with Lenore and Moody and Isaiah Oliver. This team is just phenomenal, top to bottom. The stars are great, the reserves are great, and the the key reserves and those key role players, they're doing their job. And as long as everybody's doing their job, man, this team can go very far. They might be able to win it all. So I can't wait for this season to keep rolling. Brock Purdy is Shanahan's new Kirk Cousins, but better. Absolutely think he's like his Kirk. He found his Kirk. Everybody thought Kyle Shanahan has wanted Kirk throughout his career. We all know he did. We all know he loves Kirk Cousins. That was his guy. He even drafted him after the fact that he drafted RG3. He's always liked that guy. And I absolutely think that Brock Purdy is his new Kirk. Like, you could just see how much he loves this guy. Like, I haven't seen him love a quarterback since Kirk Cousins, man. So it's phenomenal. And Beast Mode hit it. Brock is not fazed by anything in the pocket. He's poised, man. He stays up. The rush comes. He eludes it as much as he can. He takes hits. He takes so many hits, but he keeps getting up. He's tough. Brock's got that dog in him, as we always say, and he really, really, really just takes those nasty hits, man. I love it. And I think Brock's going to become this just great player if he continues to grow and develop because of the fact that Kyle just trusts him. He trusts him, man. And that's the difference that Kyle is showing with Brock over any other quarterback that he's had under his tenure. So it's nice to see. Let's see. Any other questions, concerns? Definitely was a big win, and it was a nice win for this team. Again, it wasn't pretty, but they got the job done, and a win is a win. Those are wins that you're going to really be happy for later in the year. Again, a division game, tough matchup. Their first place in the NFC West early in the season. You got to win these type of games, and I feel like the 49ers could go 4-0 to start the season. It's very possible. George says, any observations for the Giants on Thursday Night Football? Anything worrying about you? I mean, they did come back. I feel like they know how to battle adversity. That's a team that last year nobody expected them to play the way they did. They turned their whole season around from the year before. Brian Daboll is a great coach. I feel like he's a good coach. It's going to be a chess match, and I think that you got to respect them. I know they don't have Saquon Barkley, but you still got to respect this team. They have a solid coach, and it's a short week. Anytime you have a short week, it's hard to prepare. And I will say, though, the 49ers home game, the Niner faithful are going to be rocking and rolling. It's going to be a tough atmosphere for the Giants. So I feel like the Niners are definitely going to win this game, but you can't count out the Giants. They're tough. They're 1-1. This is a game that they kind of want to win. They don't want to lose this one, NFC game. But I feel like without Saquon Barkley, Niners definitely have a big edge, a competitive advantage. But you never can count out anybody. And Brian Daboll, great coach. So, but yeah, that was a hell of a comeback they had against the Cardinals. I mean, I know it's the Cardinals, but still, they were down big. I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, what a impressive. That's a tough one. So you can't count out any team, and the Giants showed that last night. So Blood Moon says Levi's is going to be insane. Insane, it really is. Sati says the one thing that worries me about New York, the Niners historically struggle against mobile quarterbacks. Yeah, Danny Dimes, he's a pretty mobile quarterback. We give him crap, but Danny Dimes is not horrible. I feel like he gets a lot of crap, but when he's on, he's on. And the problem is he's kind of inconsistent, but he turned that team around last year with Brian Daboll, and you can't count him out. He definitely has the wheels. And one more thing is, I feel like, I don't know if Brandon Ayuk's going to play right now. He's dealing with the shoulder. Kyle yesterday said that he doesn't expect it to be anything serious. There was no update. We'll see how practice goes the next few days, but we'll see. I hope Brandon Ayuk's able to play, but if not, you don't want to rush him. You don't want to throw him into the fire. So I feel like if Brandon Ayuk doesn't play, it's okay. It's early in the year. You don't want to force him to play, but that definitely could be a factor in this matchup. Debo will have to see more action. Kittle will have to see more action. Christian McCaffrey, maybe Juwan Jennings, maybe Ronnie Bell gets some touches. And then you got to get Elijah Mitchell in the mix, and that's what Kyle said he wants to do. So we'll definitely see. So, yeah, I can't wait to see Levi's rocking on Thursday. I'll be there. I cannot wait. The first home game of the season. It's going to be so much fun, ladies and gentlemen. But I am excited. Victory Monday. We are hyped. 49ers, 2-0, first place, number one team in the NFL right now. Love it. I love it. Blood Moon says, I feel like Nick Bosa is itching to be unleashed. Yeah, that's absolutely a good way to put it, Blood Moon, is he's waiting for his body to catch up to his mindset. You know, in his mind, he's ripping up quarterbacks. He's probably already seeing himself, getting to the quarterback. But on the field, I feel like his body's still just not where it needs to be, in terms of football shape. But you're right. Eventually, it will be there, and it's going to be amazing to see quarterbacks get shredded. When you got Javon Hargrave and Bosa and this whole line swinging like madmen, wait till the playoffs. See, that's the right now regular season. It is what it is. Get through the season, have a pretty good year. In the playoffs, you want your stars to be ready and in peak shape. And I know Bosa will be in peak shape when the playoffs come. You got to remember, he played his ass off last year. By the time the playoffs came, it wasn't that he was out of shape, he was gassed out. So now, by starting late, he's going to build his stamina up. He's going to build himself up. By the time the preseason comes, the postseason comes, by the time the playoffs come, he should be in a better, state of mind and a better, you know, um, stamina level than he was last year because he started off so strong and then it just kind of catapulted. So now I feel it's going to be the other way. But we'll see how it goes. Sati, I hate him too. Those short weeks, man, they are begging for players to get hurt. I hate Thursday night football, man. But it is what it is. They love the money. The NFL, they're going to keep pushing the product. I wish they didn't. I mean, it's fun to watch football, but when your team's involved in a Thursday night game, man, it's brutal. So we shall see. But anyways, the 49ers right now, nothing to worry about until Thursday. We won a game. They got to rest today, and the next 2 days they'll be back in practice preparing for the Giants. 2-0, first place in the NFC West. It's a great victory Monday. I hope everybody had a great day. Enjoy the rest of your night. Appreciate the chat. As always, you guys are the best. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe. All that good stuff. Always appreciative of all the support. Let's keep running it up on this channel, and we'll be back when we're back tomorrow. I'm sure I got some shows to do, and I'll probably be live on Instagram at some point. But keep rolling. I'll see you guys later, and take care. Appreciate y'all. Good night.